necessarily the same here that we were when we were last. Both literally in this visual setup, but I'm sure also literally for yourselves and myselves, for the divine unfolding of ourselves. Thank you for being here with me as I take these training wheels off and go for it. And for being a presence, because I hope that's what is received as well. That when we are here, we are here as honest as can be. And so we are here. We are here to do just that, to have an honest conversation. Inspired by a card. I drew this card earlier and have sat with it and gone about my day. Let's read it. Forgiveness. Healing comes from acceptance. Help me, dear Lord, to fully accept what is, knowing that this alone will open me to the new. For me, what immediately came to my mind is my own inner child, and how she struggled being a incredibly sensitive and sensitive deeper than emotion, or I guess that's appropriate, deeper than emotion, inclusive of more than emotion, of energy, sensitive to sound, sensitive to intention, sensitive to thought, at times sensitive. Growing up sensitive to parents who were not was its own burden that I deeply resented my parents for, deep down, while accepting and moving forward with life, because I knew that's just the nature of who we were, and the nature of who we were left my needs unmet. And it was only recently that I finally voiced burden that, I mean, I didn't have words for as a kid, but was definitely building and building up until I couldn't hold it in anymore. This was another layer of skin, layer of my past self that needed to be shed. And this layer of skin was an understanding my child self concluded in order to move forward in acceptance, in trying to accept what was, but without forgiveness, with still resentment, because a kid couldn't understand, right? And so I mean, I was gonna go another route, but I realized it's not that simple. The thing about wounds in the dynamic between a parent and a child is that a child cannot resolve that wound in the most expansive and healthiest way for the rest of their lives in that moment. They can only do their best for the understanding and maturity and literal development that they have in that moment. And so while bottling in all my resentment and accepting and loving my parents as they were, was that skin that I wore for most of my life, I needed to shed it now, because ultimately, again, all that resentment had built and built deep within me and fed into my day-to-day difficulties. A deep sense of low self-worth, a deep sense of not enough, a deep sense of wanting to prove but not having the solidity inside of me to follow through and succeed and take that light, take that spotlight. I shied away because I didn't feel like I deserved it, because I resented my parents for not loving me the way I thought I needed and deserved to be loved. But the truth is that love I deserve is love I deserve, and is love I can receive in my experience. And just, it may take discovery of the sources from which I can get that love. And it also takes the shedding of the burden itself, of the resentment itself. How can I move forward with the resentment, with that weight, with that bit of skin still trailing behind me? To forgive my parents, not just accept them, but forgive them. And not just forgive them for not loving me the way that I deserved. Forgive them Forgive the ways that I expected them to be more than who they are and what they were capable of at the time. Because all is divine. Everything, light, dark, it served a purpose. I would not be the me that I am right now were it not for the ways that I had to feel ungrounded, feel in chaos, feel unsupported. I am the solid force that I am now because I no longer blame others or the circumstances of my life for the reason that I am unhappy, as a reason to stay unhappy, to engage in thought patterns and behaviors that only soothe but still keep me unhappy. Like, it's not worth it to hold on to the resentment. It's not a life to live. And I say this all again from my own experience. And I say that like I've said that before. I've only implied it. I say this now from my own experience. And my hope is that my process may be a divine reflection of yours. Just like as I've gone through life over the past several years, other people's videos here on YouTube have served as a divine reflection of what I was moving through and the direction I hope to go. And gradually, I did. And now, I hope to be of service in this way. Because I feel called to. Okay. Life is not without hardship. Meaning we are regularly strained mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically, spiritually. And so we must regularly be replenished. And these days, replenishment is self-care, is basic needs. But truthfully, replenishment is much more. It's spaciousness. It's full expression. And it's processing. It's self-inquiry, self-awareness, conscious understanding. But this world doesn't offer us space for that. And tells us the reason why we are unhappy is because we need to do better with our self-care and life balance. No, world. This world can slow down and ought to, because the pace and direction it's going is not it. So, may those of us who recognize that devote ourselves to that, for it is we who ground the collective through these chaotic times. We need to make healing as deep and regular of a practice as possible for our personal selves in order to be beacons of light through the darkness that is rampant. So that as the darkness gets shed from us, we lead the way for others to do the same, and others to do the same. There's so much passion coming out of me. There's so much fog and illusion. And the more we each shed the layers of ourselves that have accepted patterns that may not have been in the consideration of the highest good of all people, of the collective. That is why we've lost our way. And that is why we each must take our respective divine responsibility and accountability of our own light and shadows, because that is the fastest way for us to get out of this time. The more pointing fingers we continue to do, the more lives are going to get lost, it seems. And we must forgive. We must forgive ourselves. That's been a layer to shed. Forgiving myself for the ways that I did once accept shadows of being, of moving, that have left recursive imprints on other people. Putting it nicely. But it's all I could keep going. It's all divine. We inspire, or it feels like imposed onto one another change. And either we accept or resist. But ultimately, even if we resist, that path will lead back to acceptance, because we will keep resisting and resisting and resisting until we realize that accepting is the true way out of the pattern, is the true way out of the shadows that have clouded our vitality and joy all our lives. This one was dense. I hope, I know it'll be received exactly how it's meant for you. Because all is divine. Either it'll inspire you, or you'll resist. And you'll resist until you'll find something that does inspire you. So, keep shedding. Fun.